other things that I don't see here. Yeah, so if I check them over, I can see what I'm doing here. So I just have to see where to forget about it. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting up early after the party. I don't know if it was good or not. I wasn't there. So anyone that went to the party is here? Okay, not much, not many. So well, that explains why we have the people that we have here. So yeah. So we're gonna be talking about our experience with Hurricane Maria, titled "Disaster Strikes: A Hacker's Cookbook." So we'll be talking about how we went from last year's DerbyCon back to Puerto Rico, and with the help of the hacker community, we did some stuff, and how the people from Puerto Rico started doing, their own hacks to get things done, and try to fix and go back to normality. So, my name is Jose Quinones, and I am the director of a health sciences university. That's what pays the bill, right? And I'm also head organizer of Security Besides Puerto Rico, founder of DEFCON Group 787 in Puerto Rico, and also founder and president of CIS Consortia. That is a nonprofit that was formed to back up all the administrative and financial stuff for B-Sides and the local meetups. And also we do InfoSec talks in schools and university to get more people into this, right? We want more hackers. And this awesome guy here, you probably know him, Carlos Perez.
I am the research practice lead at Trusted Sec, or represent. I'm a Microsoft MVP. In addition to that, I'm one of the Security Weekly co-hosts. You can find most of my stuff in darkoperator.com. I know some of you actually complain, hey, you haven't blogged since December, but you'll start seeing a bit more blogs from me. I know of my code. You can find it in GitHub. In addition to that, I also work with Jose on B-Sides, DEFCON 787, and we're also like in 2 different boards for nonprofits or projects also. So we're pretty active in the island with the hacker community. In addition to that.
So disclaimer: we may use some expressions that may offend some people. I'm sorry, but deal with it, right? The facts described here in this presentation may differ from what you've heard on the news. These are not alternative facts. This is our reality. This is what we lived firsthand, and actually we got off really easy. Okay, so there were people that really had a bad time. So how did it all start? How did it all started, right? We were at Puerto Rico. We are watching the news. They are telling us the hurricane is coming. We're thinking of canceling the flight, and both our wives tell us, honey, go. Everything will be okay. And we had to go, They're strong women. We are weak men. So these are the facts. But it's a trap, right? There's no way of taking the right decision here. If you go against them, you lose, and we hurt them, and we lost either way. So, but there were a lot of good things that came out of it. So, actually, during the class, Carlos right there, you almost don't see him, but he's probably shaking in that picture. He was really stressed out. He was doing the class, and I was watching Facebook, calling people, receiving messages, and trying to see what was going on in Puerto Rico. and we had to take a couple of breaks from the class to get communications with the island.
So, just a bit of background. While I was doing the class, I remember I told my students from the beginning, hey guys, there's this hurricane hitting the island, so if I get a call, I'm going to have to ask forgiveness. I'm going to have to go run to the back and take my call. Does anybody have a problem? Almost all students said, no problem at all. I'm like, okay, awesome. So I'm having my call. My wife, actually, I told her, hey, honey, we can cancel. She went like, you have 45 students that depend on you. You're going. And I'm like, okay, honey, I'm going. And all of a sudden she calls and she's telling me, hey, and she's crying when she calls me. She's telling me, hey, the winds have ripped the garage doors from the neighbors in the front. The neighbors in the back have blew up their windows, and the winds are gutting their homes. So she's seeing stuff flying out, covers, mattresses, all kinds of stuff. She's telling me that she's afraid, but that she's with my parents there, that the walls are trembling. My house is made of reinforced cement with rebar, and the walls were trembling. That's how strong the winds were. And then, whoop, no more signal, no more communication for 24 hours. So I was giving my class, all the time talking, and then I don't hate to admit it, but I was crying some of the time when I was giving my class. We just go like this, look at the screen, and just wipe tears and just keep doing my class because there's nothing I could do. So I just keep chugging on.
Yeah, it was really hard. So disaster strikes, right? Hurricane Maria made landfall over southeastern Puerto Rico as a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 155 miles per hour. And actually, they reported gusts that got up to 200 miles an hour in the mountainous area, the center of the island, because of the topography. The wind was funneled through the mountains and picked up the pace. So although it went in as a Category 4, it was actually a 5 at a couple of times. So it was kind of scary, right, and horrible. So I had a little clip here because I don't want to have too much about this, but watch the winds moving, the change of directions. And watch the white car and the cars behind it, how they will get mangled by the winds.
What you're seeing is what happens when the ice is thin. When you hit one wall, you have a small part of what's on the wall. That's the right.
So this is in Yabucoa. That's one of the southern parts of the island, a little bit to the left of the eye of the storm. So they got it really, really bad, and everyone that was in that part of the hurricane got the worst. So actually, it's described like this. You know, people told me, I said, okay, this is it. Okay, Maria, and this is Puerto Rico. Nothing to do, just take it, right? Yeah, no, there's no options there, right? So the power went out. You can see in the upper part of the image, that's Puerto Rico before Maria, and down a month after, that's Puerto Rico after Maria, and that place that is pointing out there, the Aguirre Power Station. That is the main power source for Puerto Rico, power generation source. So the hurricane hit exactly. It was a really, really exact blow to Puerto Rico. So it destroyed all the infrastructure for the power and destroyed the communications, destroyed everything. So the houses that were built with wood, most of them just flew off, and only the concrete houses stayed there. So, but you know, the hacker community stepped up. You know, they got a wind of what was going on, right? And we have here the security team, the goons from DerbyCon. And there's Josh, Army Train, Zero Chaos, Mycroft. These are the guys that started it all. I call them the QRF, right? They just took control of the situation, started moving. We didn't ask for anything. They just heard what was going on, and they went to work to get people, you know, try to help us in any way they could.
So in this one, I went to Marpet and I went like, hey dude, I'm going back to the island. We got hit. It's bad. Do you have a Baofeng radio that you can lend me? So when I get back home, there's no comms, zero comms. So I need something that I can use when I get back home to communicate back and forth between my house with family. We're moving around, and they're like, don't worry, Carlos, come with me. We go into the goons, and they actually found a radio for me, and the other goons heard, and all of a sudden there were orders overnight for Amazon, them ordering big boxes of radios. And then the next day, we had stacks of boxes of radios, Pelican briefs, solar batteries, solar panels, and they were configuring all of the gear, setting channels, writing processes for us, like this is the channels you're going to use for emergency, this is the channel for medical stuff, this is the channel for police when you run there. Oh, we're coordinating already with National Guard for you guys, so National Guard's going to be on these channels for you, and this was in less than 12 hours. So I'm really thankful to the goons and everything they did.
These guys are awesome, okay? Yeah. And, well, the tragedy, you know, gets worse, right? Trevor forget. We lost Trevor, and some people took it as a joke, some people took it as an opportunity to just hang out. But there's one guy called Tony Kennedy, and he used the whole Trevor theme and did a GoFundMe campaign and got $5,000 to send to Puerto Rico to help. So Trevor's death was not in vain, okay? Oh, and then things got real. They got real at the closing ceremony. On the closing ceremony, they auctioned another black badge. It was sold, I think, for $6,500. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was great. Hackers for Charity. Johnny Long stepped immediately to work with the funding and help us work with everything. Various B-sides, other hacker cons. There was a lot of people. I tried to get them but it's impossible to read. But if you go to the Hackers for Charity website, you will see all the great people that helped and got, you know, their money and their best wishes for the people in Puerto Rico. So I get emotional with this. You're awesome. So yeah. So the first shipment, right? This is what they got. They got some radios. They got like Carlos said, batteries, solar panels. They were meant exactly to help us and our families, our direct families. But as you're going to see a little bit further, it finished helping a lot more people, and they definitely the way that DerbyCon behaved, it had a lot of impact of what went on in Puerto Rico afterward. Okay, so we're coming home, right? We had to sleep in the airport. We had to stay overnight at Atlanta. We almost had to drive down to Fort Lauderdale to get a connection flight, but we got lucky and we got a flight right there. It was an adventure, not a good one, right? But it was an experience I will never forget, right? So
we were staying in Atlanta, and they then told us we had to cancel your flight. We need to make room for rescue personnel on it. Then there was another flight, and said, "Oh, now you have to stay until the other day." The other flight now is already full with rescue personnel and medical personnel going down to the island. They have priority. So we were stuck there with several Army people that were deployed to Fort Benning, and now they were trying to get to their families back in the island. And Johnny said, hey, we have a cargo plane in Florida. If you guys can drive all the way to Florida, Hackers for Charity will get you on that cargo plane that is going there with supplies. So we were, okay, if Delta doesn't get us another flight, we're renting a car and driving down to Florida and getting in that cargo plane.
So this is what we found, right? Actually, it was worse. This is just a sample of what was going on when we got there, and we just wanted to let you see what, how the impact of the hurricane, the winds, the water, the flooding did a lot of damage. Also, the force of the rivers that overflowed. And they wiped everything away, roads, houses. It was really horrible right there. But help arrived, right? Yeah, we got paper, so we can start. We can start, like, getting everything dry, and because water is wet, right? But don't worry, everything's fine. That's the attitude, right? But no, really, help arrived, right? I think that the military did an awesome job in Puerto Rico. If the military wouldn't have been involved in the process, it would have been worse. There was a lot of protagonism going on by the local government, the federal government. Everyone wanted to be the hero. And there were a lot of roadblocks between them, and the local government blamed the federal government blamed the local government. You saw all the tweets and all the bullshit going on the media, and that was just posturing from both sides, because they wanted to come across as the saviors, the heroes. And although I have to definitely recognize the work of the people, the FEMA employees and the local employees and everyone, the problem, as always, are the politicians, right? They want all the credit for everything that goes on, that the people do, right?
If it wasn't for DOD, the amount of death would have been higher. DOD broke protocol. They were not supposed to pre-position gear ahead of time. A Marine Corps MEU with their Navy element was supposed to stay outside of the range of the hurricane, on sea, close to the island. They broke rules and they just pre-positioned. They went like, well, they get hit, it's going to take us even longer due to the size of the hurricane just to travel in. So they coordinated, broke protocol, broke rules, and they just pre-positioned Ospreys, Seahawks, all kinds of gear, Army National Guard. They kind of commandeer some of the coliseums in the island. They place all of their helicopters inside, close the lid on the coliseum of the extra aircraft, secure hangars and everything, and as soon as the hurricane passed, engineers went in, powered that up, and in less than 12 hours they were delivering aid and doing air rescues in all of the flooded areas. So, DOD guys, you guys are my hero. You guys rock. Really, you guys rock. I really appreciate it.
So, DerbyCon, it keeps coming up, right? Hackers for Charity, they sent another shipment. This was like, with a couple of hours of logistics. Johnny called me, hey, there's a shipment going down. This is the flight. This is the time. We need someone to go there and pick it up. So we got there. It was almost like a movie, We got to the airport, and they sent when they when they knew what we were going to do there, they just opened up the gates, go to the runway. Yeah, the helicopters, the Black Hawks taking off, the big C-130s arriving, this whole chaos, and we're in our car, you know, like driving around in the runway. It was fun and scary at the same time. We felt like action heroes, right? Like a Tom Clancy, you know, something like that, really.
In my car.
Yeah. Things got really bad at a point, and we'll talk about that. So that's not exactly a bad idea, right? It was a good idea. So, like a month later, we also have another shipment arrive of solar panels, batteries, all the lighting that we needed. And this shipment in particular, I want to tell a small story about it. Is that Johnny calls me. It was like I was at a meeting like at 9 in the morning, and he calls me, "Hey, we got a charter flight. We're gonna send the last shipment of equipment that we have. You have to go and get it. It's in Ponce. I'm in San Juan. So from San Juan to Ponce, at it's like 2.5 hour drive, maybe 3 depending on the traffic." So I call up a friend and I tell him, "Hey, we have to go pick up a shipment, and could you come with me?" He has a Ford van, so we need the space, right? So I get my friend and we take the road trip. We got there. The plane arrived late. So the plane really got there like at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night. So we had to spend like a couple of hours in the airport in Ponce. And we started getting things off the plane, and not all the shipment came in, because when they were loading the plane, they had to put you see the blue buckets right there to the left. They took up a lot of space, so they left behind the batteries, the lamps. I don't know how the priority list worked in that point, so they preferred the buckets. Maybe somebody had to go really bad, and so we got the buckets, and we only got solar panels. So those solar panels were in my living room for a couple of weeks until we got the rest of the shipment. But the funny thing is that it's like 9:30 or 10:30 at night. They're refueling the flight. I'm talking to the pilot, and I ask, "Hey, so are you going back right now, or are you staying more time?" No, I'm staying overnight. I'm flying to San Juan right now. I live 10 minutes away from the airport. So it's funny. It's sad, because this is exactly what happened all the time during the emergency. Logistics were horrible. I'm not blaming Johnny, never in my life, okay? He's bigger than me, you know, he's ripped, so no, it's not his fault. It's just that in the in this excitement to get things done and move forward, they never asked what was the flight plan. So they just heard Puerto Rico, okay, perfect, go. And I never asked, right? So this went on in every part of the government, everywhere. People were just not communicating effectively. Logistics were horrible. Things that could get done quick took hours, days, weeks. And I think this is the best example of why things went sour in Puerto Rico from the government standpoint. The logistics, they kill it. I've heard a couple of million times how logistics can, win or lose a war. And definitely we lost this one, and people paid, right? So I just have to again thank Hackers for Charity and all the people that gave their money from DerbyCon and other places and the hacker community, because they really made a difference. They really made a difference. Their money was well spent. I went to families that needed the help. It went to a lot of people. Some of the equipment went to local government and local communities, as you will see later. And it made a real difference. So that is our story, right? So I want to go into the, cookbook part, right? How this equipment was used, how people, how the creativity of the people made a difference, and their instinct to survive and use their knowledge in their favor affected the whole thing. So the big issues in Puerto Rico were power, definitely. We had no power. Power generation was dead. Communications also dead. Security, after the first week, things got nasty, right? Healthcare, a lot of people had trouble getting the healthcare they needed. Water and food. So we're going to be focusing on the first three, because we really cannot, I'm not a qualified healthcare provider, right? And actually, water and food, it's just that we were not prepared, so it was a thing of supplies. So we really couldn't do anything about it, right? So for power, right? First thing is generators. Gas, diesel, propane gas. That's the first question that people started, asking themselves. They got generators, big gas generaters, 5K, 10K, gas generators, 20K, and they found out really fast that that's not a good idea, right? They burn to fuel super fast. People tried to live their lives as nothing happened, like 24/7 power. The gas bill and the fuel bill went through the roofs. The companies that sell liquefied gas and diesel and all that, they made millions of dollars during Maria, because people were buying fuel like crazy. They did not apply their restrictions of how to use it. So after a couple of months, the inverters came in. So people started buying inverters. I think this is the best idea for a generator. If you want high power, you can use them in parallel. So even they're not that expensive. You can get them for $400, $500. So you can buy two. So if you need 5K to run a home, you can do it. If you want to alternate the use of the generators, you can do it and let them take a rest, because maintenance is another problem. So you have to change the oil, change the filters, and everything is closed. So you better have some supplies and manage everything well. So, resource management is key in everything.
So a bit about the generators. At home, I have a 17K generator. We were only running it every 12 hours. I was consuming around 400 pounds of liquefied gas per week. I had a small baby. I had a special needs child plus my other daughter, and we were going through all of that stuff. And one of the things I never thought of is I had 2 maintenance kits. That should be enough. No. Those generators were for, it never came to me that those generators were not designed to run so long, for months. So I was doing oil changes once a week on them just to keep them running. And then, thankfully, I drove a couple of hours and found an actual working antenna where I could connect to the internet. A couple of hours later, I was able to do at least 2 Google searches because bandwidth was so constrained, and find out what was the equivalent of a car filter that I could use and car oil that I could use. And I simply was able to get to a Pep Boys and buy multiple gallons of it and boxes of all of those filters, and then be able to fix that. So if you're running generators, more than likely there's going to be an equivalent of a car filter. So do keep that in mind. Do keep maintenance in mind for those. And also plan ahead with your spouse that I know you like air conditioning, honey. I know it's in the 90s, but we gotta ration this. It costs money and it puts wear and tear on the equipment.
Also, the noise, nights in Puerto Rico, it was like it's an eternal hum, like a song from hell. So noise is horrible. So try to work that. You know, people started pimping their generators, putting mufflers and all that stuff, trying to get. Yeah. We have a joke going on in Puerto Rico that, you know, that in the States they made like lawnmower races. So probably in Puerto Rico we'll start doing generator races or something like that, because there's so many generators right now in Puerto Rico that it's ridiculous. And the fumes, really important. There was a lot of death because of the fumes. People did not knew that CO2 is bad for you, right? And they wanted, they didn't, I don't know why, but some people just run their generators inside the homes or in their garages with everything closed or whatever. So they were deaf. Yes, entire family died because of the fumes of the generators. So it's really important to have this in mind, and definitely make a plan of how to use it, when it's going to be used, their maintenance and everything. So it's not just go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever and buy a generator and throw it in the closet. You have to be prepared to use it. And in my experience in Maria, 30 days. 30 days is the sweet spot. We were kind of prepared, and I have to go out for supplies the last, like by the end of October, and there were still lines, and, you know, like 3-hour lines to get fuel, 4-hour lines to get food. So, but the next week, if I have stocked up better, I just would have had less trouble. So 30 days for us, and I think for most cases it's like the sweet spot. You know, be prepared for 30 days. But solar power is king. There is no replacement. There is no replacement for the sun. We would die without it, right? But our friends again from Hackers for Charity, you know, it will keep coming up. They made these kits with help from Goal Zero, the company that makes the camping stuff, the camping gear, to get batteries, solar panels, radios, RF radios, lamps, USB lamps, all the kits for the use of a single person, small family, so various sizes. And definitely solar power was king. My wife was always taking care and taking times, learning how the equipment works, because it will work differently in every part of you know, the globe, the inclination of the globe, the sun, the hours, the season, all that affects. So you have to learn how your system works, how it will work, and what is the best case scenario and the worst case scenario for your equipment. So you will plan for it, and you can manage. Again, resource management is key. Resource management, logistics. I think that those two items on the list are the most important.
Yeah, and I know it's when we were showing this presentation, I know somebody mentioned when one of the problems that we found out in the hacker community very quickly about wind is that when a hurricane comes through and rips over 80% of all vegetation in the island. For some reason, there's not even a breeze for weeks. 90-degree heat, not a breeze, and they even tried to 3D print a couple of wind generators, and we quickly find out that they don't generate that much. You actually need quite a large amount of them to generate what you can probably generate from one single solar panel. So we learned that very quickly. In fact, right now at home, I have 33 solar panels in my roof. They generate about 7.9 kilowatts constantly during the midday. And I have 2 Tesla Powerwalls right now at home. And even me doing rationing exercises, that's not enough to keep the entire house 24 hours running on batteries alone. So, as Jose mentioned, rationing is key and planning. So, yeah.
And for those of you that like the DIY, of course, there's a version for it, right? And that's a pretty common setup. And but you can be more creative and use recycled batteries. I broke up a couple of old laptops that I had, the power cells. And the thing with the laptop batteries is if one battery dies, the whole pack will stop working to protect itself from damaging fire and everything. So from that pack, that was an 8-pack of batteries, just one was damaged. So I got 7 good 18650 lithium ion batteries, 3.7 volts. I think there were 3,300 milliamp hours. So that is enough to charge a phone, charge radios, small stuff, and it will work great. And also super capacitors, they work also super great because they stabilize the voltage, and during the day you don't consume the battery load, so it will get stored on the capacitors, and it can be really helpful to have a hybrid system with capacitors and batteries, not just a lead battery. Lead batteries, you have to take a lot of care of them. They have to be sealed batteries, gel, deep cycle batteries. If not, they will die really quickly, and you also can have an accident with them. Also, lighting was really important. Nights, you have to, like I say, resource management. You don't need to turn on the generator for the first few hours of the night. You can work with some lighting. Again, this is some gear that Hackers for Charity gave us, and we paired it more or less that way. Some lamps with a mini, the Sherpa's 100, that's 100 watt. That will charge a couple of items. So it will give you like 6 or 8 hours of light. So if you don't want to turn on the generator until 9, 10 o'clock at night, or even later, so you can have a full run of power during the night, so you just turn on your generator, go to sleep, and it will die down in the morning. You didn't have to get up to do anything. So that's part of the planning, to know how to work that schedule, right? Also, we got a couple of setups for personal use, some shared neighborhood use, or if you live in a neighborhood that have good communication. We did it in my neighborhood. We set up like a central charging station, and everyone could go in and charge their stuff. So during the day, like I said, the solar power, there's no way to beat that. If it's cloudy, well, that's some problems there, but if not, it will keep generating all day with no problems, right? So other big problem was comms, right? Comms were really bad. Red indicates 80 to 100% loss. So we lost most of the towers. And you know, these are not small towers. These are 100 to 100 feet towers. So it's not just go buy some, you know, pipes and throw them, stick it in the ground and put a little cable to it. No, it takes time to get this system up. And the guys from the ITDRC helped a lot in Puerto Rico. They set up portable stations in some places throughout the island. They also had to hack their way and get old equipment, get a phone. And let me just quote my friend Derek Cones. Actually, he was in DerbyCon when it happened. He went down to Puerto Rico, and he's still in Puerto Rico. So he said, your vehicle may be the hill you get reception from, and that's in the top of the car. And your antenna mount may be one that has partially destroyed. Your rack may be a police barricade. Your BOP system for a crisis call center may be a Wi-Fi connected Android phone to a VSAT. So they also have to improvise and do a lot of crazy stuff, and they did a great job. So if you want to join, they help in every major event in the States, and they're really, really good people. So for communications, we got some Baofeng radios and Louis Vuitton. They're really the charge holds up a lot. It's like an old Nokia phone. You charge them and they just go. And the UHF gives you a good range. In real world scenario, like an urban setting, you might get a mile or so of range, and that's really good for local coordination during activities and all that. But if not, you can go like our friends from the Puerto Rico Air National Guard. They created some repeaters, homemade repeaters, using some Baofeng radios. The UV5R, they are really cheap, $25, $35 each. So that whole setup is like $100 or $150, and you can have a VHF repeater up and running in a while. We also have another friend, Javier Marave. He started to work with people from Gautena, and he did the initiative called Reconnect Puerto Rico. So he went to Santurce, that is a really poor part of the metro area in Puerto Rico, and they set up in the roofs antennas attached to the Gautenas. As you can see, there's a plastic cup protecting the antenna from the weather, so you have to get creative in this type of environment. Also, we have in Barranquitas, this is a place in the center of the island. They got almost 11 miles from the system. This is a mesh network, right? Also, we have a Joel Martinez. He did a small web app to run on a Raspberry Pi using a captive portal and some DNS spoofing to so he could use the same domain name offline. And practically he went to town plazas, and he stayed there a couple of hours, turned on the Wi-Fi hotspot on the Raspberry Pi. People connected. They just wrote a message, put up the cell phone for the people that the message was intended to. So he used a stored and forward technique. Then he went out, connected to the internet, and all the messages went out. So he was helping out the communication. Yeah, carrier pigeons. So we also have, standard gear that, our good old friend, the Wi-Fi Pineapple. You use it to see what's going on in the air and how to set up your gear. Old FM transmitter radios. You're not supposed to do it, right? The FCC won't let you, but it will definitely go a long way to keep people informed. Security. This is it went Walking Dead style. It was really nasty. After a week of no resources, the people started, the poor people from the island, they were not prepared. The supplies from the government weren't arriving. They were hungry, so they went out to get food. So people got out to do raids, and it was really, really bad. People got out with, AK-47s. They got to a place, get out of a van, and just go in, take whatever they wanted, and leave. So hunger is a dangerous motivator, right? So get the locals organized. We did the neighborhood watch. So we did some random rounds in our community. And this is my community. So download your maps beforehand. So you don't have data, but you can use the maps, right? And this is Carlos' community. And other communities here, all these communities were communities that were affected in a positive way with the radios that Hackers for Charity gave us. So we started giving radios to other communities so they could communicate, coordinate their activities, and do a great job. We also went to the mayor's office in the water reserves and the temporary SOC that they had to manage the emergency. They were using runners from truck to truck. They didn't have any way to communicate. Cell phones were down, and nobody wants today. Nobody uses RF radios, all-style RF radios. So definitely, this is a thing that came in handy, and this helped a lot for the logistics of giving out the water to people. So some things good came out of this, right? We learned a lot, right? And we did have our B-sides. So definitely this is our 5th B-sides. We got to do it in January 2018. And we drank a lot of pitorro. That's Puerto Rican moonshine, the best. And we also did a disaster preparedness and response hackathon, right? And some really good projects came out of it. The guy that you see in the photo, he did a GoTenna equivalent system with using a LoRa, Wi-Fi LoRa chip system on a SOC, and he did it in using like $20. So GoTenna works really good, but it's a product for camping and hiking, so it's 300, 200 something a pair, but you can do it with $25, $30 and get exactly the same system to communicate, create a mesh network and communicate. Also, families and communities came together. So I got my kids to play some dice games, and I couldn't get them to do Dungeons and Dragons, but at least I got them to do some dice games, right? And people started going out. The kids rode their bikes, had a great time. So it was a community building event also. So in general, what we learned, effective communications will save lives. Licensed radio operators will make a difference. VHF and UHF will work on an emergency for short-range communications. HF will link up outposts and forward bases. Satellite data uplinks will work on most places. Not everywhere, but they will work on most places. Satellite phones are not that expensive. There's like $500 or $700, and then you pay like $70 a month. So some people cannot pay them, but they're accessible, right? Experiment with mesh networks. You can do a lot with them. It's really cheap. Solar power and batteries are a must. Fuel will be scarce. We didn't have a fuel deficiency in the island, but there were so many people going out to get them that the lines were horrible. There were always fuel. Yeah, I had 12 hours, and I did 4 only. But I got a better gas station than yours. So although the fuel was there, getting it was the problem, right? Power management, really important. Social order will fall. In an extended time, people will start fighting for resources. It's not The Walking Dead. It happens in the real life. Water treatment will save your life. We had some cases of leptospirosis, that's infection from rats' urine, and bad logistics will kill everything, right? And government sucks, no matter which one is in power, right? So to close down and make things real clear, approximately 3,000 U.S. citizens died as a consequence or during Maria. This is truth. The Institute of Forensic Sciences could not handle the body count. They had to bring in containers to put up the bodies in refrigerated containers because there was no room for the people that they have to process. Still, there was a lot of death. And to make things even clearer, more than 120,000 Puerto Ricans have served in the U.S. military since the World War I. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. We paid in blood. So there should be no fucking doubt that we are U.S. citizens. Thank you.